Hello, folks. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Hello, folks. Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is your old Uncle Charlie here at UDR Productions Golf Team, and it is a Wednesday night at 6:30. We are live, and all the way live. We just want to say hello to you from those of us in front of the camera and behind the camera. My man Dog working the board as usual. I apologize for not being able to do a show last week, but I will explain that in the topic this evening. Actions speak louder than words. Okay, also, we want to remind those folks out there who know about this sign and why we have it up here on a Wednesday night at the Uncle Charlie's Corner. Donate Live, honoring organ, eye, and tissue donors. This month is April, which is Donate Life Month. And if you know somebody who had a transplant, a liver transplant, kidney transplant, lung transplant, heart transplant like myself, and also the donor families, or if it's a live transplantation donor, we honor them too. And this is the time of the year where we asked people who support Donate Life, whether it be in the eastern part of the state, the southern part of the state, Midwestern, or West Coast, to fly your Donate Life flag and fly it high. Those of you who watch the Rose Bowl parade on New Year's Day know that Donate Life has a float, which is very, very popular. Matter of fact, one of the volunteers that I work with in the organization, Carolyn, she actually went out there a couple of years ago because they honored her son with a floral picture display. It is a very, very inspiring, and it's also the tradition, I guess you can say. It opens the eyes of a lot of people, those who have lost their family members, who have given the gift of life to others. It's a great cause of remembrance, like in the month of November, which we do call Remembrance Month. So April, folks, is Donate Life Month. Starting next week, we will have guests from not only who have received transplanted organs, but who have donated transplanted organs, who work behind the scenes to help those who need the gift of life get the gift of life. And I am looking forward to it. I wish we could have started it off last week and this week, but unfortunately, and you're going to hear why, it just did not work out that way. And I will like to say to my fellow Donate Life volunteers, it was very, very nice. I received this bag in the mail the other day from a person who is one of the leaders in our Donate Life cause. It is a gym bag, I guess you could say, but nowadays that might not even be the word that you use. So it is a bag. My fiance, Darlene, the first thing that she said, "Oh my God, they sent us a bag." So those of you women out there know what I'm talking about. They sent me that in a very nice Donate Life mask. So Jen Cray, I want to say thank you very much to you. And hopefully she will be one of the people that will be a guest. I know she has to check her schedule, but that is one of the people that I have reached out to. But this evening, folks, and I just had to get this off my chest. I really have to. I know a lot of you know about the trial that's going on in Minnesota with former officer Derek Chauvin, and all the witnesses and all the people who were co-workers and those from the EMTs, emergency room doctors, those who were witnesses, who were professionals themselves in their own first responder professions. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I am going to say If those of you want to know what goes on behind the scenes, those of you who want to are interested in either a career in law enforcement, first responders, firemen, um, even answering the phones, the operators, the 911 operators, you will see how they all play a key element in working together. And especially when it comes to the training, a lot of us took things by the benefit of their doubt, whatever that we were told, we believed. Now, with the advent of body camera technology, those communities that can't afford to provide their law enforcement representatives with them, it's a valuable tool now. It used to be that you would second guess a person by either witness accounts or, unfortunately, by the accounts of the agents of law enforcement themselves, that they were going to provide you with the most effective and statements possible, whether it be trying to save someone's life or trying to provide the atmosphere of what was going on. Law enforcement was not doubted. Their word basically was their bond, and what was told basically was that was it. That was the critical statements that were believed in the courtroom. Hello, Leslie. How are you this evening? You found out a lot, folks. You really did. You found out about this officer's training, or training that he was given to preserve and protect life that he just did not care about. I understand that when you believe, hello, Lula, when you believe that you are in the right, that you are going to, you're basically just going to try to make sure that your will is imposed sometimes. And I think that has to do more with the character of the officer, not the people who represent the badge themselves. I believe that those 4 individuals who were rightfully fired from that department were fired because the fact is they did not care about protecting and serving. So if they did it to George Floyd, who's to say they wouldn't do it to you or I? It's we just started, so I'm looking at the notes here, folks, of people that are answering in live. So like I said, I don't blame the men and women of the various departments around this country and around the world. I blame the individuals for their actions. We have not seen the defense yet, but we've heard defense questioning of witnesses that have been provided by the prosecution. Like I said, if you have a chance to watch it, or watch the recap when you get home from work. It's very, very interesting, especially to those young people that want to make this as a career decision. Mm-hmm. It's great to protect and serve. I wanted to do it myself. You have to have the right mindset. You have to have a lot of courage and bravery. You have to sometimes be able to challenge when those around you are always looking at you as the one that is causing the issues. No, we're not only just talking about police officers. We are talking about the hiring of the right police officers, making sure they have the right mindsets. But like I said, if you have time to watch it during the day, or if you have time, if you actually work during the day, watch it at night. It's very interesting, especially the retrospect from various lawyers that explain why certain strategies and certain questions were asked. And those of you in your car, if you have, and it's not advertising for them, but I would love for them to become one of our advertisers, so we work for them. But Sirius Radio, they have a lot of different news channels that everybody's going live. I listen to CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, Headline News. They all broadcast it. Hello, brother MVP. He's listening too or watching. How you doing, brother? Yes, actions speak louder than words. And that's basically not only that incident, but an incident that happened to me personally on Sunday, March 28th of last month. I had spoke earlier at an event. I went to go to the store and get some milk and bread and some other items from my fiance. She was preparing dinner. And as I returned back from the store and pulled into the parking complex of where I live, I had to wait for one of my neighbors who is disabled herself. She walks with a cane. Her sister usually takes her out on a Sunday, whether it be to church or they just go out for a drive. And she was returning home. They were parked in front of my parking space, so I had to wait for them to wait for her to exit the car, rather. Someone who was parked in a space which was at the time still my neighbor's space. I did not recognize the car, but I knew it was parked in his space. Came barreling out of her space and hit my car. It was shocking. You go through a gamut of emotions, folks. At that particular time, I did not think anything was wrong with me. I got out of my vehicle and I said, what's the matter with you? Didn't you see me behind you? I was there for about a good 5 to 7 minutes, folks. I was not there. I was not like it was just 2 seconds. I just pulled up behind somebody. When you drive a car, you look in your rearview mirror or your side mirrors, make sure that there's nobody behind you, especially this being a senior complex. And sometimes you have young children that visit grandparents or aunties or uncles. But this woman just barreled out of the parking space. And I said to her, what's wrong with you? I said, didn't you see my car? And she decided to want to double talk me and say that there's nothing wrong with your car. Your car is fine. But as I looked at my car, I saw cosmetic damage by the jolt of the car. Like most cars today, my car has computer sensors in it. And I looked a little bit and I saw that the bumper was askew. So I said, well, listen, let's just handle this properly. Let's exchange information, what's your insurance information and your registration. Same thing that a police officer would ask you, but now they tell you you can do it yourself, and driver's license information. Well, you all know the old adage, 3 strikes and you're out. This person had none of them. Not trying to make light or humor of this. I said, well, I hate to send a black person to jail, but I'm sorry. I got to call the police on this. I purchased this car last year. I was very proud of my purchase. And doggone it, my car, my baby. Those of you who own vehicles, if your car is a brand new 2021 vehicle that you just saved up all your money, or it could be a 1975 Pontiac Bonneville, that's your car. Well, I was proceeded to being called a bunch of, the language. I'll just say insert here. And she went to her car, grabbed whatever she had to grab, and she proceeded to walk away. I said, where are you going? I'm not, well, she didn't stay. She just walked away and left. As I waited for the police officer to come, because this could have been handled totally different. And that's why I'm saying actions speak louder than words. The officer ran the plate, which was a paper plate. And most of us know that is a temporary plate. Yeah. What I did not notice at the time, even though I took pictures of not only her vehicle, but my vehicle, was that the car was registered. Last day of registration was in June of 2020. Car's not registered, strike one. As the officer proceeded to run the numbers on the plate, find out car was from Jersey. Nothing against the state of New Jersey, but obviously somebody drove this vehicle from the state of New Jersey. Also, not having insurance in your driver's license, strike three. Or I should say not being insured, not being registered, not having your driver's license, strike three. Folks, the reason I chose this title of Actions Speak Louder Than Words is because most of you who are honest with yourselves and go through your past know that there's probably been some times, maybe in your youth, maybe if you had certain issues in your life that you might have did not handle things in the correct way. I know I did it one time. I wanted to fry fish for my church, and unfortunately, I could not get together all the money to provide it, but it was advertised for. But I could not do it. And instead of calling the church that morning, I didn't. Well, because of that, I had to stand up in front of my church and apologize for my actions. But that's taking responsibility, okay? Yeah. When you do something in your house and you're the only child in that house, your parents or whoever takes care of you don't have very far to look. You know, something's broken, they're going to look at you. You could either admit that you did it or try to lie your way out of it, like most kids do. And eventually you're caught and you have to pay the pulp, or you have to pay for your punishment. All right. That might mean no allowance. That might mean you can't go out for a while. You get my point. There's some kind of restriction. Same thing with our penal system today. If you do something, maybe they might give you a slap on the wrist one or two times. Sometimes some people even get it up to 10 times. But eventually the judge and the police, for that instance, is going to be sick and tired of seeing you and arresting you for the same thing. And eventually you're going to have to go to jail for what you did. By the actions of this young lady, and I'm not here to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything of that nature, but to basically say that it's not your problem, you don't want to do anything to handle it, is telling me something that in your life, as you were growing up, nobody took the time to teach you about the word responsibility or accountability. Those words are not only not in your vocabulary, it's not in your everyday living. So obviously she's used to not taking responsibility for anything. I have approached her a couple of other times since this has happened. I have approached my neighbor who she lives with, who I thought was a very, very responsible gentleman. He's an older gentleman than myself. He drives a nice vehicle. I spoke with him privately over phone because he's a mutual friend of one of my sisters. And I thought he was very, very cordial. And he said that he did not blame me because if somebody hit his car, he knows that he would be awful angry. But, and I'm not going to say the other conversation because I found out why she was living there. But the point I'm trying to make is that he could have had this individual say, listen, you got to talk to this guy. You got to handle this. But as the way that he has handled this too, it really made me think that this guy that I thought was a really nice guy who helped dig myself and another neighbor out of when it was snowing this past year, and when we would work on digging other people out, maybe this guy's not so responsible as I thought he was too. So responsibility and accountability. Actions speak louder than words. Now, unfortunately, this person is going to have to face, I'm not going to say criminal because there is a warrant out for her arrest, but now she's going to have to go through civil court. Because the thing about it is, when you get into an accident, and this is why I will tell you good folks, even though you think it may be nothing, it could be something. Later that evening, I started to feel a lot of pain in my neck and in my shoulders, plus my lower back. It was very hard to lift this arm. It still is hard to even lift it over my head. I have a loss of hearing in this ear because of the way that my head hit the left side of my car inside the vehicle. I have a pretty big headache. I told Dog that he had to have the monitor even lower in my ears this evening. And I'm going to be out of work at least until about May 5th, I just found out. I've been attending rehabilitation. Yesterday was my first session. And the young lady said that she's going to get me back up to par. But she has a lot of work to do, and she felt the muscles and saw all the different x-rays that they took of not only my neck and shoulders, but lower back. You see, folks, I can't take pain medication during the day because the medication that they gave me makes me drowsy. And I cannot do certain things during the day or talk very coherently if I maybe possibly be slurring my words, if I'm drowsy and I can't think of the right things to say, or maybe I might even say the wrong things. When I spoke with Dog and I spoke with MVP, and I asked MVP at the time, I said, could you fill in for me? These guys have just completed over my first month here. So you don't want to let anybody down. I was out of work for a long time last year, and I was retained after Christmas on my other job, my gig paying job, I'll put it. Now I have to take a leave of absence from them. Even though they're understanding about the situation still, they're in the business to sell goods and make money. So obviously somebody has to be filled in to take my place. You see, the actions that you do have consequences all the way as the people who served in the military services. Your actions could cause you know what to roll downhill. Because you, in your impaired mind, did not think that you were accountable for your actions. You just thought that you would just go through life, bippity bop, and not have to be accountable. Some of you might out there in the Go Love Team land might know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe you've dealt with individuals like this, maybe one time during your life before you turned to God, maybe you're one of those people. You have to realize, folks, eventually, and this is the only word that I can think of right now, so I apologize. Those who don't want to hear vulgarity, cover your ears. The shit that you do, one day you're going to be accountable for. Unless you get on your hands, you get on your knees, you cup your hands, and you sit down and you say, Father, please help me. Help me be a better person. Help me not only get closer to you and walk like Jesus walked and act like Jesus acted and talk like Jesus did, but help me be a responsible person. Maybe I'm a person that has not taken care of my children. Maybe I'm a person that just goes through life scamming people and borrowing money hither and yon, and have to do the same thing when you wake up in the morning because that's the only way that it feeds your habit. Maybe you're a person that goes through life because you had a rough growing up and a rough childhood. You don't care how you treat other people. You think that the world owes you a living and the world should be your oyster, but you have done nothing good to contribute to the world that you live in. Former President John Kennedy said during his inaugural address in 1961, ask not what your country could do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Folks, I know that we have gone through a rough 5 years. Four, but I am counting the fifth because COVID is not over. And certain things that were challenged in court and struck down to help this country and its individuals were made into law because we were looking out for one segment of society and not thinking about the other. We just got through celebrating Easter, and the week before that, we celebrated Palm Sunday when Jesus was triumphantly welcomed and honored and praised in the streets, where people threw their palms and said how much that they loved him. And the next week, they were getting ready for his crucifixion, how much they hated him. Does that sound about right, folks, to what is going on now in society today? Or I should say, what has been going on for a long time. There's been some people that have been forgotten. I'm not going to deny that. Certain elements of society were forgotten or taken for granted. That's why the former president was elected. We weren't concerned about everybody as a group. We were only concerned about certain segments of society. And when you slight one group, obviously, over another, you're going to have problems. You're going to have issues. We've seen racism on the rise, where Asian people are now targets of heinous crimes. A 65-year-old woman who was brutally beaten in the streets. And what happened to the people that her fellow brethren that were supposed to be concerned about their brothers and sisters the Christian way? Like they did to Joseph and Mary, they closed their doors when they went to go find a place to have the birth of Jesus. Folks, we got to stop this coldness in society. It's doing nothing but making us recipients to be welcomed in hell, to be honest with you. Hell has no fury. They say like a woman scored, but hell has no fury when those who believe that they are better than others, instead of wanting to help others, all they're doing is just taking all those that listen to them off to hell in a handbasket. Do not fall into that. Oh, thank you very much, dog. I appreciate that. Do not fall into that same basket, folks. So do not get into that same car, that same ride, you're better than that. I know if you listen to the individuals on this network, you're better than that, because we talk about inspiration. We talk about bringing the characterization of you as a person and making that person an even better person. Everybody on this network is either doing something to make it a better place, not only in this community or in this world. They were doing it before they became a part of this network, because it was something that was instilled in them. Maybe from their childhood, maybe it was something that they just learned in life, that you just can't go through life and not contribute. Yes, actions speak louder than words. Matter of fact, those of you who are out there know that whatever 12-step group that you belong to, the first thing that you have to say to whoever you believe is your creator is that your life has become unmanageable and you ask for help. So, folks, there's a whole lot of people out there that need help. Now, I pray for the individual that has injured me temporarily, but it hasn't slowed me up. No. As long as I have my voice, and as long as the Lord gives me command to go certain places and to be able to do certain things, especially have my mind, I will never be silenced. I will speak my mind. The one thing that I talk about in the death of both of my parents, my mother who died in 96, and her anniversary is coming up in a couple of weeks on the 19th. She had her mind to the end. She was given the God-given ability to speak and say what she thought. And my mother was a teacher. She passed away of Crohn's disease. And they didn't know that much Crohn's disease back in 96 like they do now. They just talk about it as a slight irregularity or discomfort. Now, when my mother had it, you couldn't eat, you didn't want to eat. If you did eat, you prayed to God that you didn't soil yourself if you were out, say, with your friends at a restaurant or just visiting somebody's home. It was a very dangerous thing back then. But now you have certain medicines that control it. When my father, who was a Korean conflict veteran of this country, never got hurt during the war, won the Silver Cross, had both of his legs amputated above the knees because of poor diet, because of smoking, because of lifestyle choices. It did not make him a bad individual, because that was with who his generation was. All of them were tax-paying citizens. Most of them were veterans. Most of them grew up in the same neighborhood, knew the same individuals. If you needed a helping hand, you gave it. If somebody knew that you were a little bit down on the luck, they gave you that same helping hand. Something that this country is restarting to learn as of last year, when they're still handing out boxes of food to individuals that need it. And it used to be that was something that was, quote unquote, done in the neighborhood of color or neighborhoods of color. But everybody is starting to find out that they're all in that big ship right now. That's right. When Martin Luther King said that we all need to get together, Black and white, Protestant and Catholic, nobody envisioned the way that we would be brought together in certain things. Yes, we helped elect the first African-American president in 2008. Yes, everybody came together. But as Judas turned against Jesus, certain individuals did not like him because of his color, because of what he was doing. It was radical change. He was a socialist. He's going to bring this country down, but he left this country in better shape than it was in the prior 8 years, only to see the next individual take it down completely. Yes, I know the pandemic, if it didn't come about, he probably would be the president today, to be honest with you, because you had to be a complete idiot if you did not stick to President Obama's plan. Free healthcare, which people still profit today from. When Johnson did it back in 60, his second term, basically, and also part of the term he was finishing out from President Kennedy by passing the Voters' Right Act and the Civil Rights Act of 64, then 65. He was not called a socialist, or he was not called somebody who was going to bring this country down. He was called a visionary, somebody who was going to bring this country up. Why? Excuse me, when it's done by somebody of a certain color. All the negative words that you could think they use against a person. You have the first woman vice president, but she's not called that. She's called the first woman of color. We have to get away from that. She's a woman. She's a smart woman. She's an attorney. She went through all channels, basically, to get there. Holding office and representing the people that put her in office. Whether you agreed with certain policies that she brought to the respective districts and citizens of the state of California, that is on you. Yes, we will always have Democrats and Republicans and Green Party and whatever. But it's kind of funny that the ideology, which started in the Democratic Party, which now the Republican Party embraces, it used to be vice versa. It used to be the Republicans that cared about everybody as a whole, not as just few, some, or because certain people look like you or have the same ideology. Now it's the Republican Party is something totally different. It's dangerous. And the Democratic Party, to be honest with you, yes, we might be the visionaries now, but still, there are certain things that they have not even let go of too, that need to be challenged. I'm not going to get into that now. It's a topic from a different show. But I'm just going to say, because I'm not going to speak too long this evening, because the fact is I'm in pain. But you do what you have to do. Like those individuals that shut the door on that poor Asian woman, shame on you. I know that there are certain things in your job responsibilities now that tell you you have to do these things because your boss does not want to be held liable. And believe me, I think it was a PR thing that these gentlemen were let go from their jobs. Thank God they're represented by a union because I believe they will get their jobs back. It's unfortunate. I did hear, though, that they eventually did open the door from that woman, but that is something that is not being reported. Why? Because the fact is, people that report the news want to give the news that they think the people want to hear. Not like Paul Harvey used to say on the radio, and here's the rest of the story. They only want to give you part of the story. That's why you have certain individual visions that are like UDR Productions or other news organizations that have risen up. That we have things like the internet, where you just don't have to see the story from one side or maybe two sides, because that particular news organization owns the newspaper, owns the television, owns the radio network that you're listening to. Thank you, Lulu. I was always taught, folks, to think outside the box before that became terminology that we always use. My father used to tell me, look at things from a different way. Uncle Marty, who was a police officer in the city of Stamford for over 36 years, same thing. You can't always look at things the way that the narrative has it. And he was one of the first individuals. He was the first African-American head of the Youth Bureau, I believe. I'm not going to say he was, because there were other prior officers before him, but I believe that he was the first individual of color that was the head of the Youth Bureau. But he helped all kids, not just kids of color. But I've always had people even come up to me today and say, if it was not for your uncle, I would not be here today. I used to get into a lot of you know what, but your uncle saw something in me. Got a friend of mine down in Florida. We always used to think he fished just because he liked it, but it's his business now. Bravid, hello, how are you, my brother? And Bravid always, you would say to me, he said, if it wasn't for your uncle, he goes, look at you, look at me, look at a whole lot of our friends. A lot of them are here because of him. But there are some that are not. And that's unfortunate, folks. That's right. Actions speak louder than words. It was a time when we were taught, if you make it, you come back and get somebody else. A lot of us don't think that way today. They feel that if they have made it, they got to keep making it. Doesn't work that way, folks. It doesn't work that way, because I'll tell you one thing, at least this is what I believe from what I was taught. If you don't go and help somebody, then basically you're determining your own way to hell. Because what have you done? You're not living by the way Jesus taught. You're not living by the way that all of his disciples had taught his lessons, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. You're living the way that you want to live. We can't do that. We cannot do that, folks. So as I speak to you today in pain, but still knowing that the vision that we have here at UDR Productions, Go Love Team, that it continues. Because there's going to be one day that my family's going to be sitting on the front row. And we spoke about that before in the episode of death. What is the legacy that you're going to leave? And I want my legacy to be, I tried to help somebody. I want my legacy to be that, yeah, I knew Charlie Treadway. I knew Uncle Charlie. Man, he helped me get me through some tough times by not just listening to what I said, but helping me through action. I had a buddy of mine. I'll talk about it one day, but I don't really feel like discussing it too comfortably. But I went through a rough divorce, folks. I went through a rough child custody. My wife at the time and I had always spoke about, if we ever broke up, we would not do to each other, which we knew what happened with my uncle and his ex-wife and her parents. We would not be so destructive towards each other or try to destroy each other. But it turned out that wasn't the way. I kept my end of the bargain up, but she didn't. And still today, that affects the relationship with my daughter. And I've said the door is always open. It's never closed on her. Eventually, she's going to have to, if she wants a relationship with her father, if there is something that she needs to find out, hopefully one day she'll reach out. And hopefully I'll still be here to explain to her. But when a child is taught something from being little to when they grow up to adulthood, if they are taught something really like a person that's in a cult, it takes a while to reverse the negative things that they've been taught. Some people wish for my demise. After I had my heart transplant, some people even had the nerve to say, well, good, it couldn't have happened to a better person. Hey, folks, that's just life. But as the ones that used to imprison, beat down, talk about, and hold back the segregationists who were in power in the South at the time, the ones that challenged the system are now the ones that are God's chosen people. That God finally said, now is not the time for this nonsense to continue. That a change must come about. And still, all the time that I thought these guys were my friends, were my fraternity brothers, were people that I could count on. When the times of my usefulness, let's say, wore out, I too was put on the shelf. But I'm back with a vengeance. And I have been that way, let's just say for the past 10 years, even though it's 8 that I've had the heart transplant. Because sometimes, folks, you just have to wake up and just say, are these people right for me? Do they have the same visions that I have? Do they want to see me do things and go places that I know that I can do? I told you on my last show that I'm going back to college. Yes, at the age of 56, I'll be 57 in November. Why? Because that was not only my parents' vision, that was my vision. My mother did the whole ride except becoming a doctor, having the DR period, I said, in her name. She got a master's degree in education. A bunch of my aunts that have that were teachers and my sister have all done the same thing. I told you before about my sister Jackie, who in the state of North Carolina 3 times Teacher of the Year. Yes, Leslie, I agree with what you said. There is nothing that can stop you. If the dream is instilled in you from birth, God knows what He wanted you to become, because He formed you not only in the womb, but just like a man programs a computer, He knew what you were going to become. So yes, some people might say it's late in life, but things do also happen in life. But I never gave up the dream, never gave it up. So this summer, I start back on my quest for my dream. And when I get that bachelor's, I ain't stopping there. I'm going on and acquire as much education, because every day in life is an education. Why? Because actions speak louder than words. When somebody tries to not inspire you, you got to learn to inspire yourself. And that's why I say to you good people out there, I love the comments. I love the off the line messages that some of you have given me, and I love some of the phone calls that you've given me too. It inspires me. positive as well as negative, because I know that I'm reaching somebody. I asked those of you out there who like to watch any show, may it be Akeisha's, may it be MVP, may it be Uncle Charlie, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like, the thumbs up. If you hit the thumbs down, it just lets us know that we need to try a little harder, or look back and see what could a person not liked about that show. We know that we're not going to click with everybody, okay? If we did, this world would be a very bland place, okay? You would not want to live in it. Just think if everybody ate pancakes for breakfast, everybody ate oatmeal for lunch. Yes, I say. And if everybody ate fruit salad for dinner, I know I would get sick and tired of that after about 2 days. I like variety, all right, in my meals. I have to cut back because I got some weight I got to lose. But I like variety is the spice of life, I believe, is the old adage. Is there variety in your life, folks? What do you do to spice up your life, to spice up somebody else's life, so to speak? Actions speak louder than words. All the food that is given away, and what's that dairy dog? That's Wade's Dairy here in Bridgeport. Okay. Unfortunately, that man lost a child. I think it was 2 he lost. Yeah, I know he lost a son. But the fact is, the man gives back to his community by at least once or twice a month. He gives out boxes of food. Now, he just doesn't go to your door and hand it to you. You do have to come by the facility and wait in line in your vehicle, and they'll put it in your trunk. But not only are people volunteering to do this, and they feel good about themselves, at least you know that there are others out there that care. You had Jeff Bezos, and if that name sounds familiar, it's because he is the one that created Amazon. Jeff Bezos just made a statement the other day that he is in favor of President Biden's proposal to raise the taxes on wealthy corporations, because he said that for too long they have not done their part. So he's totally fine with it. That's a billionaire saying that. Okay. You're used to people saying that who have a lot of money or are business people that, well, wait, we've got costs here and we've got employee responsibilities and we've got all this debt consolidation that we have to. No. This is a billionaire who came to this country and who has made it. He even lost half of it to his ex-wife and still is rich, saying that, yes, he too has to play its part. In the state of Georgia, which passed Jim Crow Jr. laws in regards to voting, everybody likes to say, oh, it sounds so great, this and that, having ID to vote with. Listen, I worked the polls. I know that you have to show some kind of ID to prove that you are who you are. You either have to have a driver's license, you have to have a birth certificate, you have to have a passport, you have to have naturalization papers, or you have to have military ID. Your right to vote is just not given to you. Also, if you want to hand out water or food to somebody that has been waiting in line for over an hour and sometimes up to 7 to 10 in some cases, because their districts have been split in half, and the good side of the zip code has the great polling places that are open, but the bad side continues to have their polling places reduced or sometimes run out of ballots for no reason. You're damn right I'm pissed off when states are passing laws like that because you're only telling one part of the story. You're not telling the full story. Let's get it right, folks. You don't want these people to be able to vote because it's a possibility that they're going to eventually vote your asses out of power because you're not looking out for the many. You're only looking out for yourselves and the very few. Folks, I've only got about less than 4 minutes on the air. I do want to, again, apologize for not being able to be on the broadcast last week. But I will tell you, as long as God keeps putting breath in my body, as long as I have good people, good associates around me, like MVP and Dog, the creators of the UDR network, Go Love Team, that I'll be here. I'll be here. We're going to take this show on the road. We have to bring our folks from Donate Life, not only into the studio, but we'll come to them. Remember, April is Donate Life Month. If you're not a donor, folks, please become a donor. Go to www.registerme.org. Or if you're going to renew your driver's license, have them check that box off, that little heart that says that you too care about your community. You care about your fellow human beings. You want to help contribute back to society. Unfortunately, if God takes you home early, you want to do your part too, because the life that you save might be somebody else's. The gift of life, folks, to give the gift of life. Oh my God, you're not only just giving the gift of life, you're giving a whole new persona to that particular individual. And he might just, or she might just be the person that goes on to be president, that goes on to be representative in your community, maybe a different kind of ministry, maybe a teacher, maybe a doctor, maybe a lawyer, maybe even a police officer, who knows? You can help contribute, folks, a lot. Be a part of something. All we ask is go to www.registerme.org. If you have any questions, ask your physician. They will lie to you. They will tell you the benefits of organ donation. Mm-hmm. To DMX, who is in the hospital in White Plains, I say to his family, very, very troubled young man, I know. But the fact is, all the love that you see, not only in New York, but around the world, shows you how much he means to people. DMX, if you could hear me, fight on, brother, fight on. Do what you have to do. Keep hope alive. Because not only your family needs you, all other individuals that your music has meant something to, they need you also. God bless you, folks. God bless you to the ones that have watched us online. We certainly do respect you. And please tell somebody to watch with you too. We're going to start being on a more civil tone. Usually Dog is on when he wants to be on. He has that luxury. The studio's in his house. On Wednesday at 6:30. MVP is at 6:30 on Tuesdays. Keisha, what time? She's usually during the day, right?
Yeah, she's usually on Tuesday or Wednesday during the day. She's also bringing, she's trying to get Dennis Bradley up here.
Okay. Keisha, she's usually during the day, Tuesday or Wednesday. So just, you hit that subscribe button. You will get notifications. Here she's trying to bring Dennis Bradley. Senator Bradley, we would love to hear you. Listeners would love to hear you. Like I said, I'm working on trying to get Jessica Muniz Martinez, who was on the school board, on here. We are pro-community, folks. If the mayor wants to come on, I'm trying to get the flag of Donate Life flown over the old City Hall at 45 Lions Place. And on a Donate Life Month, Mayor Ganim, we would love to have you and let the people of Bridgeport know what is going on.
excellent.
That would be, yeah, you're right. You're certainly right. God bless you all, folks. We love you all here at UDR Productions Go Love Team. Thank you again to East Coast Pawn for being one of our sponsors. God bless you. Also, we have our cards out, okay, with our numbers. Just request them. We will send them to you. DJ Underdog, who is working the board. God bless you, my brother. I love you. From Uncle Charlie's Corner,
Yes.
remember, always, Uncle Charlie loves you. Darlene, I'm coming home, baby. April, Donate Life Month. Donate Life Month, April, folks. That's right. I think we did all right.
Oh, yeah.
I think we did all right.